What's up, YouTube? Timmy's here. Now, here is my throwback segment where I talk about the films that turns 10, 20, 30, and 40 this week. Alright, we got a lot of really cool ones here. Films celebrating their 10th anniversary, in celebration of the upcoming live action Snow White movie. 10 years ago this week, we, also had Cinderella, which of course is a live action remake of the 1950s Cinderella film, starring Lily James. Lily James is awesome. Like, who doesn't love Lily James, right? Kate Blanchett was in this. You know, directed by Kenneth Branagh. I don't care what anyone says. The live action Cinderella movie is awesome. The music was great. Lily James was terrific. Kate Blanchett was amazing. I don't know how good this Snow White's gonna do, but let me tell you, Disney live action remakes when they open up in March have normally done well. Alice in Wonderland, Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, all of those came out in the month of March and they all did pretty well. So I don't know how good Snow White's gonna do, but I could see it doing okay. But still, Cinderella is really magnificent. Of course, you also had other people like Richard Madden, Stellan Skarsgård, Holiday Granger, Helen Bonham Carter. I love the effects here. Lily James as Cinderella, she looked great as that role. So I believe this was actually the movie that really put Lily James on the map, if I'm not mistaken. Like, I know she did Downton Abbey beforehand and all that, but I feel like this was actually the one that really put her on the map for most people and made a lot of people become a fan of Lily James. All right, also turning 10. I'm a little biased with this one because I was an extra for this movie. Also turning 10 years old is Run or Night. Now, Run or Night was directed by John Sarah, who of course directed movies like Unknown, House of Wax. He has that new horror film coming out, Woman in the Yard, which looks interesting. Now, if you guys don't know much about the story for this, it stars Liam Neeson as an ex-Irish mob hitman who goes on the run with his estranged adult son after he is forced to kill the son of a mobster boss. You also had like Common and Harris. Again, I was actually an extra for this movie. I actually met Liam Neeson on set and he would call me buddy, so that's pretty cool. I even got to meet the director. I was pretty much an extra for the scene at Madison Square Garden with the hockey thing. Pretty much, I had to pretend to be a hockey fan, so cool, I guess. But that was a pretty fun time. But still, Runner Night is obviously I'm biased because I was an extra for it, but the movie is actually pretty fun. Liam Neeson, obviously, who doesn't love when Liam Neeson does action roles? Lately, he has done hardly much good action roles lately, but like outside of Taken, obviously, the 2010s was a pretty cool. I feel like Liam Neeson does better action movies when he's being directed by John Sarah. Together they did movies like Nonstop, Runner Night, Unknown. They haven't really worked together since The Commuter back in 2017 or 18, I think it was. The Commuter was a lot of fun too. But if you guys haven't seen Runner Night, there is rumors that a sequel might be in the works. I don't know how that will work, especially if you saw the end of it, but anything's possible, I guess. All right, now also turning 10 are more like small affairs. First up, we got the Cobbler, which stars Adam Sandler, Method Man, Dan Stevens, Melanie Diaz, Dustin Hoffman. The Cobbler tells a story of a cobbler who finds himself able to assume the form of anyone by putting on the shoes. Now, this was also directed by Tom McCarthy, who that same year will also direct the Oscar-winning film Spotlight, and he did other movies like Win Win and all. He did The Station Agent, if I'm not mistaken, so there's that. Now, this is not like Adam Sandler's. It's not as good as, let's say, Uncut Gems or Reign Over Me or anything like that. But it was actually pretty charming. Really showcased on how good Adam Sandler could do outside of straight up comedy. And seeing Adam Sandler play different characters was pretty cool. Like seeing him, actually play Dan Stevens, seeing him play like Method Man was pretty cool. It's very underrated too. Like the reviews at the time wasn't so kind. Like it wasn't as kind as the reviews for, let's say, Uncut Gems or anything, or even most recent Hustlers. But I actually remember watching this one back in 2015. I actually thought it was pretty decent. It's a shame that I didn't really get much love at the time, but it is what it is, I guess. And also turning 10 are two horror films, by the way. We got It Follows, which I always call the SCD horror film. But, of course, it stars Micah Moreau as a young woman who is pursued by a supernatural entity after doing the deeds with someone. And yeah, again, I always call this movie the SCD horror film. If you've seen the movie, you know why I call it the SCD horror film. This type of movie should make a lot of people, be scared when it comes to doing the deeds, but of course, this star Michael Moreau, Kira Gilchrist. They are doing a sequel for this, by the way, called They Follow. So at least we got that coming. It was an okay little horror film, like you know, not like anything you should go by or anything, but it was okay. All right. Also turning 10 is Zombeavers. Okay. Now this started. You actually had Bill Burr, John Mayer was in this. It follows like a group of college kids who staying at a riverside cottage are attacked by a swarm of zombie beavers. This movie is dumb. I would admit that right now. But it's like one of those horror movies that that's so dumb it's fun. It is actually entertaining. Some of the kills is pretty cool. I had a fun time with this one. So, yeah, if you guys never seen Zombievers, I think you can find it on Tubi nowadays. Do yourself a favor, go watch Zombievers. It's a really fun one. All right, now films turning 20 this week is the Bruce Willis movie Hostage. Probably one of his most underappreciated films, in my opinion. This starred like Ben Foster, Kevin Pollak, Bruce Willis's daughter, Rumor Willis, and it's more like L.A. Hostage negotiator Telly retires to a small town, and he must use his own skills when three hoodlums turn carjacking into an armed standoff here. And it's actually a lot of fun. It's not like Bruce Willis's best work. It's nowhere near as good as, let's say, Die Hard or Last Boy Scout or anything. But it is a pretty fun, entertaining one worth giving a go. All right, also turning 20, probably one of Blue Sky's most underrated, underappreciated film, and that is Robots. Featured now, this was actually co-directed by Ice Age writer and Scrat himself, Chris Wedge. It was also co-directed by Chris Saldana, who gave us Rio. Most recently, he did that terrible Zachary Levi film, Hair on the Purple Crayon. But now, this of course features the voice talents of Ewan McGregor, Halle Berry, Greg Kinnear, the late great Robin Williams, Drew Carey, Amanda Bynes was in this, and it follows like this inventor robot named Ronnie Copperbottom, voiced by McGregor, who seeks out his idol Bigwell, played by Mel Brooks, to work for his company in Robot City, and of course his like mother, who's actually voiced by Jim Broadbent of all people, to treat older robots into buying expensive gadgets. Okay, it's actually one of the most like underappreciated film from Blue Sky, but I actually always had a fun time with this. I actually used to actually own the DVD that was actually signed by Halle Berry one time, so there's that. I have no idea whatever happened to that one, but yeah. This is actually like the animation is pretty cool and again, it's not as good as let's say the Ice Age movies or Rio or anything like that. And I still miss Blue Sky. It's all due respect to the new streaming site called Blue Sky, but seriously, can they literally not change the name? Like, there's only one Blue Sky. But anyway, all right. Also turning 20 is The Upside of Anger. Now, this movie starred the likes of Kevin Costner, Joan Allen, Kerry Russell, Evan Rachel Wood, and it's of course where his secretary well, like after her husband runs off with his secretary, Terry Whitmire, played by Joan Allen, is left to fend for herself and her for her daughters, played by Kara Russell, Wood, Erica Christensen, and Alicia Witt, and she hits rock bottom, and of course she finds a friend and drinking buddy next door, Danny, played by Kevin Costner. Now this was also directed by Mike Binder, who did the movie Blank Man with Damon Wayans. He also did Reign Over Me, with Adam Sandler. The Upside of Anger is a very underrated, underappreciated film. Kevin Costner was really good in this. Obviously Evan Rachel Wood, Alicia Witt, some really cool actors. Cool actors here. Really good little film if you guys have seen it. All right. Also turning 20 is Millions, which is directed by Danny Boyle. Where 9-year-old Damien finds a bag of money in his backyard, where he and his brother Anthony, decide to try to spend it without telling their father, and seeking advice from the imaginary saints with whom he converses. He struggles with his own mortality here. I think this was actually Danny Boyle's first ever family movie. Like it, it's always cool seeing a director go from more adult fares to doing a kids film. Obviously Rob Zemeckis has done it, and also it's always interesting to see directors branch out from their comfort zone and all. And it's not Danny Boyle's best work, but it definitely has some fun charm to it. Cool actors here, and really just a little fun. If you guys ever seen that one? All right. Also, now turning dirty this week is Outbreak. Starring the likes of Dustin Hoffman, Morgan Freeman, Donna Sutherland, Cuba Gooding Jr., Kevin Spacey. Now, of course, if you guys remember, this movie did got a little more a little more eyeballs on it during the pandemic. And I mean, obviously, it is a pandemic movie here. And it focuses on an outbreak of Matobaya, where a fictional Ebola virus, and a virus in Zara, and later in a small town, uh, is of course set in the primary U.S. Army Medical Research Institute like you know of diseases and centers on the disease control, and of course there is a monkey involved too. Again, this movie got a lot got more eyes on it during the pandemic because obviously, we were pretty much living Outbreak in real life. So, yeah. Despite that, Outbreak, of course, directed by Wolfgang Peterson. The late great Wolfgang Peterson. Of course, Dustin Hoffman was great in this. Really, you don't really see as many Outbreak movies as there was in the '90s and all. But Outbreak was a really interesting one. I guess you could say Outbreak sort of predicted the future. I guess you could say it sort of predicted, the pandemic that we, lived in now. And also, yeah, I mean, if you guys never seen Outbreak, do yourself a favor, go watch it. Especially, see how far we came from since. Yeah. All right. Also turning dirty is Muriel's Wedding, which I believe this was actually the movie that put Tony Collette on the map. If I'm not mistaken, she probably did stuff beforehand. But this was actually my first introduction to Tony Collette. Uh, and of course, focuses on a socially awkward Muriel who's ambitious to have a glamorous wedding and improve her personal life here. Tony Collette was really good in this. Rachel Griffiths, really nice little Australian rom com. Really decent little film. You guys haven't seen that. Who doesn't love Tony Collette, right? All right. Also turning 30 is the Sum of Us, which stars Jack Thompson as this middle-aged father who suffers through the death of his wife and is ready to get back into dating. And he shares a home with his gay son Jeff, played by a very young Russell Crowe. I guess this was Russell Crowe's earliest work, if I'm not mistaken. Also, it's not really too memorable. It's not really one of Crowe's most memorable films in my opinion. But hey, Russell Crowe, really cool to see that. Russell Crowe been acting since early '90s and stuff like that. Who doesn't love Crowe, right? All right. Also, now not really a lot to talk about with the 4 year one, except there is the movie Sylveste, which stars Richard Farnsworth, Melissa Gilbert, from Little House on the Prairie fame. It's about a young woman called Charlie cares for a horse brought to a livestock auction yard, and helped turn him into a champion jumper. I've probably seen this once and don't really remember much about it. But of course, you had like Richard Farnsworth, who was in Misery, directed by Rivers Edge director Tim Hunter. So there's that. Anyway, that is pretty much it there. Let me to you guys. Which of these films stand out to you the most? The 10-year one, either I should say Cinderella because that movie was pretty good. I'm a little biased with this one because I was an extra for it. I'm actually just gonna say Run at Night because I'm just biased like that. The 20-year one is actually going to go to Robots, very underrated animated film there. The 30-year one is going to Outbreak, and not really much to go by with the 40 one. Anyway, drop comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for notification. This is Simon.